more.
I tell you we want church.
I won't make you cry no more.
Hi, and welcome to another set of KISS. That is, keep it simple, sir. Keep it simple, senorita. Keep it simple, in all our saints and sisters in Christ. We thank God. We have another great production coming your way. Very informative production, and I'm sure you will be glad. Get your pen and pencil, call a neighbor, get on the phone, tell them KISS on the air. And we have a special production today called Blessed Assurance. Blessed Assurance. And a lot of information that we know that you're going to enjoy. And all of our productions come to be a blessing to our community, our Christian community, in your homes, to help you in your homes, in your community. It takes a whole village to raise one person, and it takes all of us to help us stay on course. Today, my very special guest today is Mr. Dennis Kouts, and public adjuster here, and I'm gonna let him first give you a little information, introduce himself, and then we get started with our production and conversation. God bless you.
Thank you, Bishop Norton. Thank you. My name is Dennis Kouts. I am a public insurance adjuster licensed by the State of Ohio Department of Insurance. I'm the co-owner of RFC Public Adjusters, LLC. We're based in West Alexandria, Ohio, in Preble County, but we do serve multiple states: Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So we stay busy.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes.
I have a hard time keeping up with you.
Yes.
But it's good. They say it's keep you out of trouble.
It does. It does.
Now, I know of production 2 ago, we had something we call redlining, which mean how things are separate for certain groups and other groups are not able to access, or it's not looked at the same way. Sometimes we might call double standards.
Right.
Well, today I know you are a professional in the field that you are, and there seem to be some type of double standards even when it comes to insurance.
Yes.
And I know quite often you say you do not work for insurance companies.
Correct.
Praise God, but you work for the individual.
The insured.
In other words, the insured, helping them to get all that they have coming. Because it's interesting, I think a few years ago you had shared with me how that even sometimes the insurance company do not give the benefits, the full benefits to their clients when they have to make a claim. Maybe you was going to share a little bit of that with us today, or I don't know what other things that you want to share with us today that may be helpful to our community.
Yes, I do work on behalf of the insured. So our profession is kind of a hidden secret. Most people don't know that they can hire their own independent or private adjuster, which is called a public adjuster. So the process normally works like this. I am a large loss specialist, so I don't do small roof claims or hail damage. All my claims are normally 6 figures and above, which in today's price of materials, it doesn't take long to get to 6 figures. But so anyway, the process is you have a large claim, you call your insurance company, you file a claim. They're going to assign their company adjuster to your claim. It's not going to be your agent. In fact, they're going to eliminate your agent quickly because he's just on the sales side of the insurance business, not on the claims side. Also, they know that you may have a personal relationship with your agent, and they don't want this to have any emotion in it. It's all business to the insurance company.
Yes.
So he comes out, the insured thinks that he's going to, or she is going to be looking out for them, which partially that's true, but his main job is to guard the checkbook of the insurance company.
Yes.
And to try to pay as little as he can get by with. And that's based on your experience in dealing with a large claim, which 99% of my clients, it is their first large claim in their life, so they don't even really know what the process is, who's there to help them, who's not there to help them. And you have all these companies just coming in, board-up companies, restoration companies, contractors, cleaning companies, coming because they catch wind that you had a fire or a tornado hit your house or whatever, and they're all trying to, do whatever. So it's important just to slow down, file your claim, but then my suggestion, if it is a large claim, is always consult a public adjuster. I don't take every claim that I'm called on unless I can be a benefit to them and not an expense, that's my criteria. If I can add more than what my fee would be, then hey, it's a good business decision for me, and it's a good deal for them. So I'm there to hold their hand, make sure everything gets done, hold the insurance company accountable. The insurance policy, and most people don't know this, says that you have to prove the loss to the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you've never had anything like this happen before,
Yes.
how are you going to do that?
Yes.
It'd be like someone trying to walk in here and do your job here on the TV show for the first time with no experience. I mean, they wouldn't even know, well, what's going on. So anyway, we're just there to make sure they don't get taken advantage of, make sure that, yes, they do get everything they have coming, and we prove the loss on behalf of the insured.
Okay. So, and that's like saying if there's something, clause there that they should be taken care of and sometimes not taken care of.
Yes, every insurance policy will have endorsements. Most of the time when I meet with people, they're lucky if they even have the deck pages of their policy, which is the first 2 or 3 pages.
Okay.
That just tells your basic limits that you have on your house, on your contents, on your additional living expense. But at the bottom of the deck pages, there's all these endorsement codes, and people don't realize that they have a lot more coverage in their policy than just what's available to the naked eye on the deck page.
Yes.
So the first thing we do is we order what's called a certified policy from
Okay.
Underwriting.
Hmm.
We don't get it from the adjuster, we don't get it from the agent. We get it from the underwriting department at your insurance company.
Okay.
And it's date stamped and signed off by someone in upper management that this is what was in effect the minute that your fire or tornado or whatever happened.
Okay.
Then we look through it and I read, and it'll be anywhere from 30 to, it could be up to 100 pages. And I read through it word for word to make sure we know exactly what coverage that person has, because a lot of times there's extra money for landscaping, for demo, for debris removal. The list goes on and on. Ordinance and law, if something's not up to date with your house, maybe the electric. But now if you're going to have your house repaired, it may not be up to code, so there's extra money in your policy to get it up to code, a separate bucket of money. So a lot of moving parts to a big claim, and if you've not been through one before, I mean, they know how to do certain things to
Not pay.
not pay and take advantage of your inexperience, ignorance, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so we're there just to keep that from happening.
You know, and I was thinking when you were talking also, you may look at that the small print in this area is things that can benefit you, but you're not knowing that they are there for you.
Right.
And you're looking at the face value. But when you mentioned talking about reading through hundreds of pages, that's work all by itself.
Sure.
And that's like watching the dot in every I and crossing every T.
Right.
What is the biggest mistake that I know you do a lot of adjusting. What is the biggest mistake you find on a regular basis that they fail?
Well, obviously the biggest part of any claim is the structure of the dwelling damage, okay, especially if it's a fire or a tornado hits a house or a business. And I do both commercial and residential claims. But so a lot of times if you allow the adjuster for the insurance company or someone who he hires, an independent adjuster, to come, because here's what people don't understand. An insurance agent, or I'm sorry, insurance adjuster for an insurance company, they'll have anywhere from 40 on the low end to 80 on the high end claims they're working on at any given time. So they don't have a lot of time to devote to your individual claim.
Okay.
So when they come in and they're going to write an estimate of the damages, they're just going to throw something together as quickly as they can,
Right.
and they're going to miss a lot of details. Intentionally or unintentionally,
Yes.
there's a lot of details left out.
Yes.
And that adds up to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of the structure.
Yes.
So that's one thing we see. The second thing we see is they're going to tell you if you've lost stuff in a house fire, contents or personal property, they're going to hand you a notepad and a pen and say, write down everything you lost, what you paid for it, and how old it is. Well, most policies in today's world is what we call replacement cost policies.
Okay.
So I may have went to a garage sale and got this cup here for 50 cents. But if I have to go replace it,
Okay.
and there's no guarantee that I'm going to find another garage sale, right?
Right.
There's no guarantee I can get this at Walmart or Meijer or any place else for 50 cents.
Yes.
So they owe you replacement costs. So if the full retail value of that is $5,
Okay.
so a lot of people forget to write down all the little things. So they'll think of the big things like the TV and the bed and the couch,
Okay.
but they forget all the little things that add up to tens of thousands of dollars. Like we get the batteries in the remote control.
Uh-huh.
We get the light bulb in the lamp.
Yeah.
We get the salt in the salt shaker.
Mm.
So there's nothing that we miss. And we have a book that we put together a few years ago, and this is called a memory jogger. And it's broken down by room of your house, and there's over 6,000 line items in here. So instead of you trying to, like if something is burned beyond, your house is totally gone, okay? It's impossible for you to remember everything in your house.
Right.
So this helps people. They can go right through here and say, oh, portable humidifier. Yeah, I had one of those. Let's put down how old it is. You don't have to price it because we're going to do all the pricing for you.
Okay.
I have a gentleman that works for me, and that's all he does. And we'll look up the manufacturer's suggested retail price on every item
Okay.
that is unsalvageable. Now, there may be some things in your house that is salvageable. Maybe it didn't burn up the whole house. Maybe it just burned up a room or two or three or a level, but not the other level.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll also be putting together a separate list of salvageable, cleanable items.
Okay.
But the big mistake I see a lot if I don't get involved early in the claim is that there are these companies that rush in and they'll pack up every possible
Okay.
thing they can get a hold of
Mhm.
because they're going to bill the insurance company to box it, to transport it, to store it, to clean it, to redeliver it.
Mm-hmm.
And because they know it's an insurance claim, their charges are
Hi.
multiple of what it would be if you
Yeah.
took it to the cleaner yourself.
Right.
Okay. So if your closets are like mine, probably at least half to 70% of the clothes in there you don't wear anymore, either for whatever reason.
Right.
Why would you want to pay a cleaning company to clean a t-shirt for $14? Wouldn't you rather have the $20 cleaning cost for it, and then you decide whether you want to clean it or
Yes.
just throw it away and go buy a new one?
Right.
So we control a lot of the games that's
Mhm.
played by the insurance companies.
Okay.
So,
Yes, and so I was thinking also, planning. Now you're on the bottom side of this, but what should a person buying insurance really look for in the contract when they're purchasing insurance?
well, you definitely want to get coverage that's going to reimburse you if you do have a total loss.
Mhm.
Okay, so what we're running into now, because of the price of materials being double and triple what they were a couple years ago,
Yes.
we're finding that if someone loses their house totally, they're underinsured.
Mhm.
So you always want to make sure that every year you kind of review your insurance policy with your agent, because unfortunately a lot of agents, they'll write the policy and 10 years go by and you just keep renewing and they've never sit down to review it with you, and maybe you know, things don't get cheaper, they get
Right.
more expensive, right?
Right.
And contractors, their fees keep going up as well, so you got to make sure that you have ample coverage is the number one thing.
Do you think sometimes, I guess, they may feel that by upping their insurance, they're going to increase their premiums? The reason some don't really follow through with, or
It could be, but once you reach a certain level of coverage,
Mhm.
adding 10, 20, 30% above that to make sure really doesn't add a whole lot to the premium.
Okay.
The premium is based on that first base amount.
Mhm.
But as you add, it doesn't go up percentage-wise accordingly on your policy.
Okay.
So you can get a lot of coverage. Once you get past a certain point, say $100,000, you can start adding pretty substantial, but not really be spending a whole lot of extra money. So,
Okay. Okay.
and I know everybody says, well, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to have a fire.
That's always.
I get on probably average,
Uh,
at this time of the year, summer, which is our slow time of the year,
okay.
I still get probably between 20 and 35 fires per day
Hmm.
that occur.
Yes.
In the wintertime, it's double that number.
Yes.
Because people are using heat sources and Electric, it seems like there's more electric fires in the wintertime. They're using alternate heat sources that they probably shouldn't be using.
Space heaters.
Space heaters, yeah, wood burning fireplace, so, but it happens a lot, and, prior to doing this, I was a firefighter paramedic for 20 years, so I saw a lot of devastation by fire in my lifetime, so better be prepared than not.
Right. And that's a good thing. And I want to do that because I always try to find a scripture or something coincide with our productions. And someone said, what is about insurance in the Bible? Does it speak of insurance? And there's a lot of things that point toward insuring without using the word insurance.
Sure.
But we need to be assured those things that is necessary. That's why we decided to name Blessed Assurance as a production today. One biblical scripture I looked at was Proverbs 27:12. It says, a prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And that means by punished by the outcome because he didn't plan. It's necessary for us to plan ahead. And it's also necessary for us to look up, see what else we have at our disposal, even if we have such an accident. Because the emotions, at this time your emotions are high, you're not thinking clearly, and you really need someone else as yourself, as a mediator. You're not involved as far as emotionally because of what's taking place.
Right.
So therefore you are able to think a lot clearer. When I chose the subject assurance, I must explain assurance and definition of assurance. A positive declaration intended to give confidence to a promise. So the promise is your insurance.
Right.
But now the assurance is to make sure that promise is kept.
Sure. And you use the word declaration. So the first 2 pages of your insurance policy is the declaration pages.
Okay. And those are the important pages.
Yeah, well, it tells the base coverage that you have, yes, but the rest of the policy is just as important because there's extra money available, most likely.
Yes.
And sometimes there's exclusions that we need to know about as well.
Yes.
So you're covered here, but now they've added a page back here where it supersedes this coverage, and you thought you had this, and now you only have this.
Yes.
So sometimes it's reverse also. But.
And not skipping just a parallel. I think about that in final services, and like you're talking about the fires, a person's emotions and going haywire. They didn't plan for this thing to happen. It always happened unexpectedly, and you think it's not going to happen to me before a certain time we place in our mind.
Right.
But these things do happen. So basically, I was thinking it's even almost like having a lawyer. A lawyer is there. He's in the courts on a regular basis. He knows the laws and rules that are changing. So someone like yourself, a adjuster, fits in something like a lawyer.
Sure, because if someone would sue you for something and they've attained a lawyer,
Yes.
well, you wouldn't want that same lawyer representing you.
Right.
I mean, they can't do it anyway. But that's kind of what you're doing if you have an insurance claim and you're allowing the insurance company adjuster to handle your side of the equation. Well, who's he paid by? He's paid by the insurance company, not you. So, yes, we level the playing field.
Okay.
And we do this every day, just like the company insurance adjusters.
Yes.
But you, as the insured, don't do this every day, right?
Right.
So when something does happen, and the reason you have insurance is for protection.
Yes.
It's just like folks that choose to carry a gun.
Yes.
I mean, it's protection, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the insurance policy is your protection. Hopefully you never have to use it, but it's there. And the people that I help are sure glad that they have them. And they didn't think it would ever happen to them, but they're sure glad they had it.
I was thinking also, it made me think, that's just like having a court-appointed lawyer and a prosecutor. How much is that court-appointed lawyer going to be able to help you?
Right.
Because the same people paying the prosecutor is paying the...
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. So many different areas of life.
Right. Yeah, if you have a legal issue, you contact a lawyer. But if you have an insurance issue, you should contact a public adjuster.
Yes.
Now, there is an occasional when maybe it's and I do partner on some claims with an attorney here in Dayton, insurance attorney, because sometimes the insurance company will claim that the person set the fire themselves.
Okay.
So it might be a little bit out of my reach, but the lawyer still uses my services to put together the estimate of damages, the personal property report. So sometimes we combine efforts.
Okay.
But that's on a rare occasion. Most insurance claims, public adjuster will handle from start to finish. Yeah.
The interesting thing I was looking at, you're talking about hundreds of pages beyond the first cover declaration part of the insurance.
Right.
And it's just like buying a car, and most of us, you go buy a car, how many people actually read all the pages upon the purchase of the vehicle even?
Yeah, or a house.
Yes.
Yeah. Very few. Very few.
We hurry up and get through. Okay, yes, all right, sign here.
Yeah. Until there's an issue, then like, well, I better get that out and read. Too late.
Too late then, yes.
Too late then, yes. Yeah, I just had a big house fire in Indianapolis that I'm working on, and the guy hadn't reviewed his policy for probably 3 years, and he doesn't have enough coverage for a rebuild. It's going to have to be a total tear down.
Wow.
It's huge, 2-story house, full basement, fixed up. So it's definitely worth your time to take a few minutes every year and just kind of review it with your agent, make sure that you're properly covered.
So you suggest maybe every year, you said?
I would say every year right now, only because there's so much uncertainty out there with building materials and contractors' fees, and it's just, especially in our area here, because we're still feeling the effects from the tornadoes 3 years ago.
Yes.
Everybody's still kind of backlogged, and materials plus what's happening, nationwide. It's, can't even get the materials. Lady yesterday called me and she ordered her cabinets. The house is about ready to be, cabinets are 14-month delivery time. The one she wanted.
Yes.
So now she's having to settle for something else just to be able to get it off the shelf at wherever she's going. But so this is kind of a weird time right now.
Yes. Yes.
It wasn't like this 10 years ago when I started this, but so just be prepared, have plenty of coverage, review it every year, I say. It only takes a few minutes. Now, my policy in my house, I have, on the structure part, I don't have a limit. I have whatever it takes to rebuild it,
Okay.
That's what they're on the hook for.
Okay.
So there is that option. Instead of having an actual dollar amount, just
Okay.
pay whatever it costs to rebuild it, whenever the day that the fire happened, that's what I get. That way, I'm covered, right?
Right, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. So, and a lot of people keep adding stuff. They accumulate stuff as we age. So on your personal property, it's usually a percentage. So if you have $300,000 on your house, normally it's either 50 or 75% that you have of that number on your personal property.
Okay.
So that'd be 150 or 2 1/4. Well, if you have things like collection of memorabilia of any type, baseball cards or Star Wars figurines or anything like that, policies always have a limit, and it's a very small limit on what they'll pay for jewelry, cash, gold coins, collectibles. So when you're dealing with an insurance company adjuster, you don't ever want to use the word antiques or collectibles, because that immediately alerts him that, maybe they have a $1,500 limit on.
Yes.
But if you got 40,000 worth
Yes.
of collectibles, guess what they're going to pay you? 1,500 if you're not careful. So
Yeah.
there's ways around that, but.
So how would you address that? Something, because sometimes people have a lot of collectibles, sentimental value, antiques, maybe super expensive, but thinking about the insurance and assurance that you were sharing with us,
Right.
what would be the thing they need to look at or to?
Well, if you have something really valuable, let's just say this cup is an antique and it's worth $5,000.
Okay.
You can schedule that out separately on your insurance policy.
Okay.
So you'll have a line item just for this cup, okay?
Okay.
And you may put $5,000 on it,
Okay.
You see that more with farm insurance policies where they'll have this tractor scheduled out separate, this barn separate.
Okay.
But residential, you can do that too. If you have furs or, like I said, baseball card collection, you can schedule it out separately to make sure you're covered. If it's not, though, you just want to be careful and not claim certain things in your house are collectibles or antiques. It's just contents.
So there you put
Personal property.
a limit on it.
You're backing yourself into a corner.
Yes.
And that information could be used against you later by the insurance adjuster from your company.
Okay.
But again, if you have a large loss and you call a public adjuster right away, none of these things will happen to you. Everything will be done correctly and in the right order, and everything will go smooth, and we relieve a lot of stress off people's shoulders, because most people have a life to live.
Yes.
They have jobs, they have kids, grandkids, whatever. So it's a lot of time that it takes to devote to a large loss claim if you're going to do it right. It's hundreds of hours
Right.
on each claim. So the company adjuster is not going to spend hundreds of hours on your claim.
No.
Because he's got 50 others he's working on, okay? And he's on his management's, wants him to get him settled.
So it's worth having this insurance on your insurance.
Yes, for sure. Yes.
And I was in the building trade. I was an engineer for 30 years. And I noticed over the years that the building material you was mentioning before, where we had pine wood in certain areas of the house, even the roof, now it's particle board, OBS board. And it's one national bishop had asked me to check out the church that had a fire. And it had been years before I even got to the organization. But it was repairing, putting new carpet in the building. And he called me down from Cleveland. He said, "Pastor, tell me, I've wondered for years, did they really replace hardwood floor? I understand you're putting new carpet down." And I got there and I looked at to call him back. I said, "No, sir, you got particle board,
Right.
1/2 inch to 3/4 inch." And he, all this time, because he was out of state, he didn't realize the insurance company was supposed to replace hardwood floors.
Right. We see that a lot with older homes that have plaster on the walls instead of drywall.
Uh-huh.
So the insurance policy says they owe you for the plaster. Now, there's very few guys out there that's going to put up plaster these days.
Right.
So you can go back with drywall, but they still owe you the actual cash value of the plaster that was there.
Uh-huh.
And most people don't understand this. So if you have a replacement cost policy, all right, and let's say that we send in that this is worth $10, okay? They're going to depreciate based on the age of that cup.
Okay.
So let's say it's 3 years old. They may try to depreciate without us. They'll try to depreciate it maybe 50%.
Okay.
And give you $5 actual cash value.
Uh-huh.
To get the other $5 that they're holding at the insurance company, you have to go out and buy you another cup and pay $10. So you use the $5 they already sent you,
Uh-huh.
send in a receipt for $10,
Uh-huh.
and they'll send you the other $5.
That's a lot of work back and forth, isn't it?
It's horrible
Yes.
because you're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of items.
Yes.
So another thing that we do is we try to keep your depreciation as low as possible. So the adjuster from the company, back to his
Yes.
busy schedule again,
Yes.
he's not going to sit with you and ask you the ages of every single thing in your house.
Right.
But we will go through our list.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't take as long as you think it does, because once the list is prepared and we have the pricing done, we can just flip through ages really quick with you, okay?
Okay.
So we're managing the depreciation as well, because we want you to have more of the actual cash value up front.
Okay.
Because you may not want to go replace this cup.
Right.
So if I can get you at 10% depreciation and get
Mm-hmm.
you $9 of the 10,
Okay.
well, now you just have $1 at the insurance company instead of $5 without us.
Right.
Okay. So now you may not go replace that cup, but you still got $9.
Yes. Yes.
And if you look for one on sale and buy it for $5, the other $4 is in your pocket,
Uh-huh.
not the insurance company's.
Yes.
So they owe you replacement cost for everything if you have that policy, but they're only ever going to pay you actual cash value up front.
Yes.
And to get that depreciation. It is called recoverable depreciation.
Okay.
But then you got to play the receipt game, and it gets cumbersome, aggravating.
You miss a lot.
So the less, and you'll miss a lot, yeah. So the less you have to do of that, the better.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to conversation, you know, being spiritual and spiritual TV. You mentioned something about complete coverage regardless of what it costs you. And I can't help, I was thinking about Christ and salvation.
Mm-hmm.
The blood of the Lamb have us covered completely, whatever it was. And is it possible to get that kind of coverage on everything in one's home, whatever it costs to replace it?
Sure. Your contents coverage is just a sum of money. Okay, let's say it's $200,000.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now that may be more coverage than what you need. Okay,
Uh-huh.
normally people do have more personal property coverage in their policy than what they actually need, but that's good because you know that's better than not having enough, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's usually, even though we're getting every single thing, we're getting all the ink pens in your house, we're getting the staples in the stapler, we're all that stuff. Okay, there still usually is enough coverage for people. All right, and usually the actual cash value that they're getting with our assistance is usually way more than what they need to actually go out and replace the items that they're going to replace, that they have to replace.
Yes.
Because as we all know, we all have too much stuff in our house.
Oh, do we?
A lot of stuff we don't use, we don't really need, but it's still there. But if you had a fire and everything got destroyed, a lot of that you wouldn't actually go replace.
Yeah.
But we're still getting you the actual cash value of every single item.
Yeah,
So,
that's funny. I was thinking about some companies I worked for years. Not naming any names. They have equipment on the property they haven't used in years, but
right.
what can they do with it? But if they have a loss, then that equipment becomes valuable.
Yeah, everything has a value, an actual cash value.
Yes.
Correct. And if something is really old, like you've had something 50 years, and maybe it's not an antique or a collectible, yeah, there may be high depreciation on it, but you're still going to get paid the actual cash value of
To go out and buy it.
every item.
Okay.
Right. As long as you put the list together. And that's what people don't understand. You have one chance to do the claim, one chance to do it right.
Okay.
There's a 2-year window from the time the peril is called happened, the fire or the tornado, whatever. You have 2 years from that date to get everything settled. Okay. You only have 1 year a lot of times to invoke what's called the appraisal process or to file a lawsuit if it gets to that point.
Okay.
You have 1 year. So, but most claims that we handle, especially if we're involved early and we control the claim from day one, and you have to remember, whoever controls the claim wins in the end.
Okay.
So if you're allowing the insurance company to control the claim with their adjuster,
Okay.
they're going to win.
Yes.
But if you hire a public adjuster, you're going to win because we're managing it as we go.
Yes.
Some of the things they like to do is they like to delay things
Mm-hmm.
because they're trying to get you frustrated to the point where you'll just throw your hands up and say, just give me whatever.
That's the big game.
Or if they come with a low ball offer, you just say, I got to get on with my life. I got other things to do. You just, and guess who wins? They do.
Exactly.
So with us, we alleviate most all of your stress. We prove the loss on your behalf, which is what the policy says. And we're very detailed.
And if there is a possible lawsuit for anything, you guys already have that covered if you have somebody as an adjuster to look into it for you.
Yeah, we've prepared all the documents that's needed, the structure estimate, the personal property report. We've done all that, okay? If it gets to the point where, for whatever reason, there needs to be an attorney brought in, then yes, he will meet with the clients, with us there, and they will hire him directly, but he will still use all of our resources,
Okay.
to help him win the case.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's a win-win. So.
Yeah, yes, it's a good insurance. I was wondering, I know a lot of your claims that it's 6 figures, but is there anything or some type of adjuster for someone having less of a claim?
Well, there would be, but to be honest with you, insurance companies have different levels of adjusters. So they have small loss adjusters, and those are your newer ones, okay? And they aren't as, how do I want to say, they don't take advantage of people near as much as what maybe someone who's worked their way up to large loss, okay? And then there's medium loss and so forth. They have different levels. So if your hail damages your roof and you call your insurance company, normally you're not going to have much of an issue.
Right.
Especially if it's below, say, $10,000 or less, you shouldn't have any issue. If it's $25,000 or less, you shouldn't have an issue, but if you do, you could still call. Like I said, if I can see where if they've missed so much and I can add more and be of value,
Yes.
I'll still do it for the people, right? We got to help each other. We got to love on each other,
Ah,
right? I mean,
well, thank you.
that's what it's all about. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's do unto others as you would have others do unto you, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm not going to not help someone if I know they're being taken advantage of big time.
Right.
I mean, I am going to help them. So
Yes.
I'll either reduce what I get. I just don't want to take money from people
Right.
that they need to do repairs.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so, but I'll give them advice, I'll hold their hand. Sometimes I do that without actually just a service agreement. I'll just, hey, call me anytime if you got a question or something just don't sound right. Call me, bounce it off of me. I'll tell you, oh no, that's not right. Here's what you should do. Go back and say this.
Well, that's a good Christian man in you, I know.
Well, it all, what goes around comes around.
Yeah,
Right?
it's all in business.
So, yeah.
And I can understand if I was a adjuster working for an insurance company, if I could save my insurance company from not paying a large amount out, I'm sure I would get a bonus.
Well, I'm sure there is some kind of structure like that. I'm not privy to that. I don't want to be privy to that, and I like what I do because I'm helping people beyond what they can do for themselves.
Yes.
I couldn't be a company adjuster because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to get up in the morning, okay, who am I going to take advantage of today? That's not me.
Yes.
So that's why I'm on the insured side,
Yes.
not the insurance company.
And similar, I guess a lot of people may understand the small part, because a home is a large investment. But I was just thinking, even like accidents. Insurance company, if the other person is in the wrong, they're rush to give you a lump sum
Yeah.
and pay off. But you may have some medical issues that may be lifelong, but because no one there to think that adjustment, a large sum of money look good right now. But pain later in your life if that wasn't covered.
Right.
And of course the insurance company would large amount of money offer you, especially if you feel like you're in need, not thinking that down the road, whatever they give you is not going to compensate for the pain and suffering beyond.
Sure. Well, and you can't turn a TV on without commercial from a personal injury attorney or,
Yes.
you know, we have great ones here in our town, here in Dayton, but there's so many of them because, yes, that
Yes.
happens so much and people need those. Now, as public adjusters, we can only do first-party claims.
Okay.
We can't do third-party claims. So if person A hits person B with their car and person B tries to call me to hire, I can't do that because it's a third-party claim. So I can only do first-party claims. So again, those would be ones that I would refer to my insurance attorney buddy here in town, and he's got 17 attorneys that work under him, and they would handle that. But if it's a direct loss, a house fire, tornado hits your house, I had one here recently I did in Kettering where people were away from their home, their water heater sprung a leak and probably emptied out the whole water heater all over their utility room floor, went into their bedroom, got their carpet all wet, went into the kitchen, got their cabinet bases all wet. So, and it was around a $50,000 claim it ended up being, but without us, they probably would have been offered somewhere around 8 to 10 because they wouldn't have looked at the residual effect of the, you know, they would have only been, their eyes would have been on the water heater and what happened in the room that it's in, the utility room, and not, you know, maybe just kind of turned a blind eye to the rest of the stuff. But we go in there with our moisture reading, instrument that we have.
Uh-huh.
We take lots of pictures, measurements. I mean, we do the whole things. And I have a guy who works for me that, well, two guys actually. One has been in the restoration construction business for 50 years.
Okay.
So he doesn't miss anything.
Don't miss much.
And another guy who's very good at what he does. He's built several houses, and he's one we do as well. He mostly does the residential, the other guy the commercial. But yeah. So.
I like that, and you're delegating authorities to those that are professional in the area.
Sure.
Because we have some people that try to do it all for the money value, knowing that they're not qualified.
Right.
And I can never forget, I was in a leadership conference with T.D. Jakes years removed here, and he looked at us. He said, "Well, this judge here is on my panel." He said, "Because there's things I don't know." He goes over my books. They make sure everything's above the water. And I never forgot that. And he had some psychiatrist over there. She was there for the psychological issues, rather than him saying, "I'm going to do the counseling part." And I always thought about that. It was beautiful the way he designated or delegated authority to the ones that give the people the best opportunity of service.
Right. Yeah, I mean, surround yourself with experts. You'll make yourself look a lot better, right? So, yeah, and I have a co-owner of my business. We only probably do somewhere between 40 and 50 claims a year. Okay, so that's different than your company adjuster who is at all times working on 40 to 80 claims, okay?
Yes.
So we can spend a lot more time with people, and that's why we do the large, because the larger the loss,
Yes.
the more ways we can help, but also the more ways that they could take advantage of you if you didn't have a public adjuster. So that's why we specialize in large loss.
Okay.
Because I do want to be of value. I don't want to be an expense to people. So.
Back to that servitude. And I know a lot of times people don't realize, I guess I might never be the very popular minister, because I often tell the ministers I work with, one thing for sure, the word minister means servant. To serve a people is not a title that's something, you can respect the title and give respect. But the Bible says, "He the greatest man amongst you, let him be your servant." So we all here to serve one another, even in the ministry. And I love the way you look at your work, because the Bible even speaks of us, the way we serve on even our daily jobs is as unto God. I know you read the.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yes. I don't wear this cross for nothing. He's always with me.
You had it in.
Well, I know, but
I don't make it with you. Yes, but it's good to have someone that has moral, conscious, Christian values.
Right.
I mean, it's sad to say that we only have to find someone that's really with moral values that they have to be Christian, because I believe some out there that have good moral values.
Sure.
But it's far in between. And I know in the real world, we know.
Right. Well, and I'm sure there's good Christian insurance company adjusters out there, but you also have to remember they're employed by the insurance company. They have guidelines that they have to abide by.
Yes.
They have rules, ways of doing things, and so they can't necessarily veer off that path, okay? I'm my own guy.
Yes.
We own the company.
Yes.
Everything comes back to me.
Yes.
So, and if you know how it is, if you do something wrong, word travels 10 times faster, 100 times faster than if you do something good, right?
Right.
So, but I would say right now, probably at least 2/3 to 3/4 of our business, because we've been doing this for 10 years, is from referrals.
Okay.
I mean, we don't really have to go out and chase claims anymore. I mean, because we treat people right. They know somebody that has a fire. Hey, you need to call these guys. They helped us tremendously. And so.
Yeah. And the greatest thing above that, as you said, our boss, even in our daily, is God.
Right.
And that is the one eternally we got to please.
Right.
And so we have a different more value than maybe some others may have.
Right.
And this company I noticed this is a company you have that you're a part, or you're the owner of?
Co-owner, yep.
The co-owner, okay. And that was I think I seen it right quickly and glanced at it. Yes, RF, right before you asked. Thank you. The RFC, the booklet. Yes.
That stands for residential, farm, and commercial. So we do all three.
We were almost overlooking all this, weren't we?
Yeah. So that's how we came up with that.
Okay, so the R stands for
Residential. Farm for F,
farm for the F,
and commercial.
C for commercial.
Any businesses that, have a fire or get hit by lightning or tornado or whatever. So we did a lot of commercial claims 3 years ago when the tornadoes came through.
Oh boy, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, there was public adjusters that came from all over to help, gladly so, because there's only so much that
Local
one
ones
can
can
handle.
do,
You know,
yeah.
So, yeah, and when the tornadoes hit, what was that, about 6 months ago in Kentucky, there's 3 or 4 cities. Yeah, my business partner and I went down there a couple weeks after, because you have to give them time to clear the roads, and
Yes.
and we went down there and got claims and offered a lot of free advice to people. It was sad though, a lot of people down there didn't have insurance, and they just are got to start over. It's devastating.
Yes.
So it's better to be prepared.
Right. And when they use that word, you never think it could happen to us. I was just thinking in hindsight, right here in Dayton, how many years we always heard, boy, that never happened in Dayton. We were in a bowl.
Right.
If you get in here, it never get out, all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
But just a few years ago, for all of the years that I've heard them say, not Dayton never happened.
Right.
Even what was in 74, when it skipped over and went to Xenia, Dayton felt relatively safe.
And we didn't just have one that night.
Right.
There was roughly
Several.
20 that they're of different degrees.
Yes, touched it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was stayed on the ground a long time too.
Yes.
So you never know. One thing I'll say real quick I didn't mention earlier. So if you don't own your own property, but you rent or lease, there is a thing called renter's insurance.
Okay.
A lot of people that we run into, the landlord calls me to handle his structure damage, and I'll ask, did the tenants have? No, they didn't. Renter's insurance is the cheapest insurance you can get.
Okay.
I mean, you can get $20, $30, $40, even $50,000 worth of coverage for your contents for just, $10, $15 a month, $20 a month.
Okay.
So every tenant should have. In fact, I ran into a landlord in Troy a couple years ago, and he would call his agent, ask him what it would cost them for their policy per month, and he would deduct that off their rent to make sure that they were covered in case there was a fire and they lost everything. Because those people are, starting over is
yes.
extremely devastating.
Yes.
Especially have children and they lost all their clothes and their toys, and so renter's insurance. Make sure you have it if you're not a homeowner but you rent or lease.
Yeah, that get pretty expensive. I remember it was only in New York and some other big states that they had lofts and large penthouse floors. Now I know Dayton is trying to develop that type of thing, have more loft space, entire floors.
Yeah.
You could lose quite a bit on the large.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it may not happen in your particular apartment or loft, but if it's the adjacent one, you're still going to have damage. And especially when it comes to children, like if anybody has a house fire, any smoke that enters into a child's room, it's automatic that everything in that room gets replaced. Because what do children tend to do? Pick something up, put it in their mouth. Well, you don't want anything back that's potentially has mold spores on it or smoke. So yes, if you have children, it's even more important that you have proper insurance, especially if you're a tenant renting. So yes.
And that's important. Sometimes an insurance company might not point out, but you as an adjuster, realizing you can't go back, you got the child at risk.
Yeah, because a lot of them will try to clean their clothes and clean their toys and bring them back to them. But just like if you have anything plugged in and you have any type of electrical surge because of the house fire, anything that's plugged in should be replaced.
Yes.
Because you don't know, it may go and come back to you, But what's going to happen a year or two down the road, heat,
Mm-hmm.
an average house fire gets up to 1,500 to 2,000 degrees.
Wow.
Well, I don't know who the little guy is that they have crawling in those little electronics to,
Yes.
those little soldered joints and stuff
Yes.
to clean them. Well, they don't.
No, I know.
So you just need to replace those items. But there's so many moving parts, like I said, that you're going to be oblivious to because you've not been through this before, and the insurance company adjuster is not going to share all these details.
And you mentioned that computers today, and some people have their whole business on their computers at their home.
Yes.
That loss can be devastating.
And there a lot of times is separate money in your policy for that. Lost records.
Okay, is that something we had to look at ahead of time, or it was something should already be included?
Well, most policies have it included, but you need to look to see what the limit is on it.
Okay.
I mean, if it's $100 or if it's a $250 limit or $500 even, that may not be enough depending on what your business is.
Yes.
Or your computer setup is. So yes, all those details, Your
Replacement.
insurance agent should sit down with you and ask you all these questions about your lifestyle, your work, just to get an idea of, do you collect anything, just to make sure that you've got, and I often wonder, it's more, if you're paying more premium, guess what he's making? He's making more commission.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they wouldn't want to sit with their clients every single year, or at least every 2 or 3, to go over things, because if they do have to add coverage, it's a little bit more money, which makes him a little bit more money. But
Lucrative, but you probably, I don't know. I don't think many voluntarily follow up. Am I right in that? Most
Right.
insurance companies, they don't voluntarily come out and
No.
make you update or check
Sure.
something that be on that consumer itself.
Nope. The only thing they make sure is if you have a mortgage on your home, they make sure that the mortgage company is listed as a loss payee on your insurance policy to make sure they're protected. And here's another thing that happens sometimes. Say you owe $50,000 on your house, you have a house fire, and we get $120,000 for you, okay? With a public adjuster, we get the check split. So they're only sending enough to the mortgage company as what you owe.
Okay.
And they're holding in escrow until you do the repairs, and then they'll release the money back to you. Without a public adjuster, they'll send the whole $120,000 to the mortgage company, even though you only owe $50,000.
Oh, wow.
So we are able to get the check split so that the other $70,000 would just come to you, that you can use for whatever.
That's a great benefit, right? That information all by
Most people
itself.
have no idea that you can do that. So we have you sign a mortgage release authorization form. I send it to their mortgage company, allows me to talk to them, and I get a payoff through a certain date in the future.
Yes.
And then when we get the check split, we make sure that that's all they're sending, because they'll send a check with the mortgage company's name on it, and then one with just your name.
Okay.
We get it split. But without us, the mortgage company's name will be on the whole check.
Well, that is blessed assurance all by
There you
itself.
go. There you go. Yes.
And I know it's people getting close out. You have the Better Business Bureau. I see you got some plats there.
Oh yeah, every year we
Depreciation.
subscribe to the Better Business Bureau. Yep. There's our 2022 membership. Also, we are out in Preble County, Ohio, so we're a proud member of the Chamber of Commerce there as well. And this is a copy of my State of Ohio Department of Insurance for our company, RFC Public Adjuster. We also have to individually get licensed as well, and we do that every year. So yes, we're bonded, licensed, and yeah.
By no reason are you a fly-by-night organization.
No, nor do I want to be.
Okay, is there any closing remarks you'd like to share? We're going to close out today. Anything that might come to your mind that you feel that may be important to some of our listeners? A lot has been shared here,
Right.
and we appreciate you coming from your busy schedule, because I know you're ready to hit the road as soon as you get off the show here, probably.
Yeah, heading to Tennessee for a couple of claims. The biggest thing is just if something happens and you have a tornado damage or fire damage or water damage, and it's substantial, and it may not even be substantial in your eyes, you may just see what's here, but you may not see all the other, always consult a public adjuster. If he's upfront and honest like I am, I will tell you if I'm going to be a benefit to you and if you need me. If you don't, I will tell you so. all right? But I will still give you good advice. So
Yes.
always consult a public adjuster on any medium to large claim, just to make sure that, you know, things don't get off to a bad start for you. 'Cause-
Exactly. And I thank you again.
Thank you.
For your
Appreciate
time
it.
and information you come here to share with us today. And those of you at home, I'm trust that you learned something today. I did. And we were talking about insurance is something that we all need to be assured, but it's also good to be blessed assurance that the insurance pays off at the time of need. God bless you. May heaven smile on you is our prayer.